Welcome to the No Streetlights podcast. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Tim. We'll be engaging in vulnerable conversations every Friday to shine a light on what we've been through,
How it changed us, and what we learned. We want to encourage societal growth towards kindness through understanding.
These conversations and the associated language can be triggering.
Listen at your own discretion.
But please reach out if we need to be doing something better.
So, let's take a breath, relax, and be welcome. So, today, I am bringing on an old friend of mine from a quiet time in my life. Out in the desert, out west. I had tons of fun. Dr. Matteo, welcome to the show.
Hi, everybody. Very happy to be here. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
We love to see it. Tim, we are going to have to stop bringing on guests with beautiful hair.
Oh, well.
Actually, Aaron, I think you're the only one opposed to that. And for our listeners out there, Aaron has no hair.
Yeah.
He used to have it all on his chin, but he got rid of it for some reason.
So, Dr. Matteo.
Yes, sir.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
You were just out in Tahoe.
That's right. Yeah. I flew in late last night, actually, back to Virginia Beach.
Dang.
Yeah.
Boy, your arms must be tired.
What's that? I went. That's right. Yeah. Oh, man. I got that joke so much when I was living in Fallon. That was crazy.
That's that little town appeal, man.
God, I'm so sorry for that.
That really brought me back there for a second. Because when I was living out there, I flew back here all the time for like classes and conferences and stuff. When I would fly back, like, oh, your arms must be tired. You just flew in last night.
How good, man. That's how you know you're in a close-knit community. It's dumb stuff like that, man.
Oh, my God.
Like, that kind of gave me a Ratatouille moment for a second.
Flashback.
Can we hear the origin story? Where are you from, man? What was your life looking like?
Starting from the beginning, I guess. I was born in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. My dad was in the Navy, coming from the Philippines. And we came up here to Virginia Beach, Norfolk area, where he was stationed. I grew up here. I went to school here through college. Decided to go to PT school, but I wanted to get very far away so that I can kind of focus and get the job done and, not have too many distractions because I'm an inherent helper. So I try to, get things done when I can. So went all the way to San Diego, California for physical therapy school and had a great time there. But your last internship in school is supposed to be a job interview. And my last internship was back here in Virginia Beach, but they weren't hiring at the time. But my clinical instructor, who was very nice, she knew that I deserved a job. So she set me up at a very, very tiny little clinic called Fallon Physical Therapy. Have I ever heard of? Oh my God. I can't believe you have that shirt. Unbelievable.
I've been wearing it.
Yeah.
You got to show that for the camera, Aaron.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Let me.
That's incredible.
I've been wearing the shirt for how long now, Doc?
It's been a long time. It has to be
2017, 2018?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway. It's a good shirt, man.
It looks great on you. Yeah, I got set up with Fallon Physical Therapy. They were all very nice out there. They helped me out a lot, get my career started. And it was fun. I met some cool characters, had a great time in a small little town, experienced so many things that I wouldn't otherwise experience. Like they have a cantaloupe festival out there. We'll probably talk about this later. We had donkey basketball out there. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
You had me at Cannibal. You had me at Cantaloupe Festival.
Yeah, the Cantaloupe Festival. They were best cantaloupe I ever had out there, actually.
Not Cannibal.
Not Cannibal. Not that one.
Good.
But yeah, Fallon. I lived in Reno at the time, so I was driving back and forth. But it was a good time, man. That was from 17 to late 19, I think. And then I made my way back here to the East Coast, Virginia Beach. Unfortunately, my mom had some health complications, so I decided to come back and help out where I could. And then when I was trying to help out my family, then the world went crazy in March of 2020. Things happened. They stuck around. My job wasn't available for me back in Fallon, so I'm still around, sticking around the East Coast. But I go back there every time and again, go play in the snow as one could, and now I have this great opportunity to have this conversation with you, gentlemen.
So you were in Fallon when Aaron was out there?
That's right. He was actually a patient of mine.
Wow. So is
Yeah.
it true that Aaron is actually as broke as he says?
I would say that he has an extensive injury list. Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
And some heroic resistances, actually.
That's true. That's true. I
Wow.
mean, if we're talking about the same story, we can talk about that, but it's up to you because of, patient confidentiality and all that kind of thing.
We've talked about this story. I find this story hysterical. Whenever you want to get into it.
Well, one of my specialties is I do dry needling in physical therapy. And Aaron came in complaining of some neck pain, neck tightness, that kind of stuff. And we kind of suspected it was from either prolonged work-related postures or work-related equipment that you had to wear, like, the vest and stuff like that. And usually we would needle a muscle in your lower neck called your upper trapezius. And typically on a typical anatomy, the needles slide in just kind of like a hot knife through butter kind of thing. And when I tried to put the needle into Aaron's trap, it was like trying to put an ice pick through a frozen block of ice. It just kind of bent. So the needle just going through, it just kind of stuck and then bent like that, and it doesn't penetrate, which was kind of odd. And then I tried it. I thought it was like a dud needle or something, so I got a different needle, and it did it again. And then I had a mini panic attack. I'm like, is this guy an alien? Like,
Yeah.
did I just discover someone from Krypton?
Damn. It's impressive.
So then tried it a couple more times and it eventually went in. It was kind of weird.
You had to pull out the hammer and just bing, bing,
Yeah,
bing,
that's right.
bing.
Just needed like a full nail instead of just a needle.
Yeah. I still feel like that today. Maybe a hammer and nail would be better.
Yeah.
The thing I remember most about that is when you would get one to go through, the muscle would spasm pretty violently.
That's right.
And you
Yeah.
would bring it out, and the needle would look like a bow that was drawn.
Yep.
Huh.
There was a couple where you bent it twice, so it looked like a little lightning bolt that I pulled out of your back. So
Yeah.
like, oh, this is what Zeus feels like.
Have you ever experienced something like that in your career since then?
A couple times, like maybe one or two other times.
Okay.
Very rarely.
Let me get those guys' numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
I
rarely.
think Aaron needs to talk to them.
Yeah, it's like the density of the muscles is so thick that the sharpness of the needle just doesn't penetrate. It's very odd, but it does happen, I guess.
Damn. That's super, super weird, Aaron. Aaron, your anatomy is strange.
Well, I would assume that's not news to him. I think he knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was news to me was how becoming a PT changed your mindset.
That's right. Yeah.
Can you walk us through how transformative that was, or why that was transformative?
So the thing that I constantly think about and reflect on is that being a physical therapist, it allows me to have, or at least experience, so many other people's perspectives. Because that saying, like, you put your problems in a bowl and you like trade them with somebody else's problems or something like that, just to see, like, are your problems really that bad? And that's what I go through every day, where like I hear everybody's stories, everybody's hurt, everybody's needs to get back to doing this, XYZ. And like, oh man, yeah, my problems really aren't that bad. I can deal with this, that kind of thing. And I deal with that 16 times a day, 5 days a week, plus more on for if like a friend needs something.
Yeah.
So you really have to put yourself in your patient's shoes in order to understand the problem.
Yeah, and I think that I have I guess a little experience in that also because I like fancy myself an athlete and an active person to where I have had my share of injuries and bumps and bruises and things like that. And I know what certain things feel like and what people can tolerate. And how far to push people and how to reel it back. It's definitely a bit of an art, and that's why our profession hasn't been taken over by robots yet. It probably will eventually, but not yet, at least.
I think I could definitely benefit from some time on the rack.
Yeah, 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 yeah. We did do that, didn't we? Well, I see that you got that inversion table back there. That's
Yep, inversion table and pull up bar behind that.
okay.
I've got to stay decompressing.
There you go. Have you gotten one of those like old school traction machines for like your neck?
No, I've sincerely thought about putting a toe strap over the doorknob and just hooking
Hmm.
it at the base of my skull and just letting it
Yeah.
slowly track out.
I mean, they make the hand pump ones that I'm sure you can find on Amazon. Not too expensive anymore.
I do have one of those. I do have a hand pump.
Okay.
Makes me feel very silly, especially when I had my beard. Look like an upside down cousin it.
Are you talking about the ones where it sits on your shoulders and you're sitting up and then it inflates and kind of goes like that?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I'm talking about the ones where you're laying on your back. It's like the same exact thing that we have in the clinic, except it has like a bike hand pump kind of thing.
I probably need two of those.
There you go.
I may break the first one, but
Yeah.
I have never been to physical therapy, and I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
Okay, so
I know what the inversion table is, but I don't know anything about any of this stuff.
what we're talking about is called mechanical cervical traction. It's when you look at it, it looks like an ancient torture device where they're just like what they did to William Wallace's like arms and legs and stuff.
Okay.
But it's really just you strap your head into it, and then it's connected to a pneumatic pump that adds a certain amount of pressure to elongate your spine and stretch your neck out, seemingly to make you a little bit taller.
Oh, okay.
But it's really just to counteract the effects of gravity on your spine because your head's like 10 to 20 pounds, something like that.
Hmm.
So if you put that amount of pressure in the opposite direction, then it kind of stretches out your spine a little bit.
Talking about this makes me just want to crack my neck repeatedly. Is that
Yeah.
something that you recommend me doing as a physical therapist, or probably not?
So it kind of depends. I hate saying that too because I hated when my teachers said that in PT school. You ask them a question, they're like, "Well, what do you think?" Because it kind of depends. And honestly, that is the correct answer.
Yeah.
Is your neck stiff? Is your neck tight? Is your neck unstable? All these kinds of things lead to the complex answer.
Yeah, in my line of work, I typically find that it depends is a very viable answer. So I think it's very
Yeah.
fair to say in your line of work, which I would say requires a lot more intelligence than mine and a better set of specialized skills. Yeah, it depends is probably a very viable answer.
Yeah. Because yes, it is true that it depends, but it's so complex that I almost feel like I'm cheating the questioner by just saying it depends.
Which is very fair. But yeah, so I feel like physical therapy is something that I don't know if maybe saying having the passion for it is the right word, but I feel like you have to really want to do a job like that.
I would agree. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Where did you kind of find your passion for this?
Let's see. My parents, they always brought me up to be a helper kind of thing. Like you don't want to be like a leech on the community. You want to be somebody that is helping others, respected in the community to know that like you're an addition to life, to the universe, that kind of thing. And yeah, I kind of credit my parents for having that instilled in me to try to do what you can for others, that kind of thing. But then as far as like the specific PT portion, I was always into sports. And as a kid, I always thought it was such a bummer when like my friends would get hurt. I'm like, oh, they can't come out and play. They hurt their ankle, you know? So I was like, well, what can I do so that they don't hurt themselves? Like, okay, we're gonna like break down the movement and like stabilize this way. So when we do that again, it's not gonna hurt that bad, that kind of thing. It all comes down to play. I took a class in college called the philosophy of play, and that was actually a pretty interesting class.
So your desire to go into PT that was born from the want to help others.
I think so. Like that's probably the short answer because when I when I went to college, I didn't have a declared major. Got all my gen eds out of the way, and then sophomore year they kind of make you go to a career counselor if you don't declare a major. And I don't remember this specifically, but they must have made me fill out some kind of like questionnaire or something like that. Because I maybe spent like 5 or 10 minutes in with this career counselor, she just asked me, "Do you want to help people?" And I remember looking at her thinking she was joking. I was like, well, yeah, who would say no to that? Like, what kind of person would just say no? I don't want to help people. So I was like, yeah, of course. And then she said, well, have you ever thought about physical therapy? And then I thought about it for a second. I'm like, huh, I guess that does kind of make sense with pretty much everything in my entire life. And then from there, declared a major, had a few bumps in the road because chemistry is completely needed in physical therapy, apparently. And I had a academic advisor.
I've never been to college.
Academic advisor is supposed to just kind of like oversee your progress, that kind of thing. Make sure you're doing well in all your classes, you get the help that you need if you're having trouble. But this guy, he was a brilliant guy, so I can't really even say anything bad about his intelligence, but he was brilliant. He's published researcher, all these kinds of things. And he kept telling me, like, you know, with these grades, you're not going to make it into PT school. You're just not going to hack it. You know, you might start considering a plan B. And this was like constantly over a year and a half, 2 years. Like, you're probably not going to make it. You might need to think of another plan. So yeah, after I graduated college, I worked in a physical therapy clinic as a technician for about 4 years. And there was a point to where I would have either needed to apply to PT school that semester or have to take like Bio 101 again with like all the freshmen. And I was like, I don't really want to do that. So I applied to one school just to see what the universe wants to tell me. And luckily I got in. I actually got a Facebook memory about that. That happened 10 years ago, like 3 weeks ago, that I got an acceptance email to get PT school. That was March of 2014.
That's incredible. Happy anniversary.
Yeah, thanks.
How many lifetimes has it been since then?
God, a lot. Yeah. I mean, since March of 2020, it's been a lot of lifetimes.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I don't want to jump ahead too far here, but I guess I'm kind of just curious, right? Now that you've been in physical therapy for so long, has it kind of met your expectations for what you'd be doing? Have you been able to help the people that you've been wanting to help?
Yes and no. You know, with any kind of modern healthcare, there's a little bit of red tape. You can't do everything that you want to do, for sure, because everyone has their specialty. You can't step on any other specialty's toes. Like, a lot of patients will ask me about nutrition or something like that, or some other kind of specialty, to where that's not what my degree is in. That's not what my specialty is. It's not what my expertise is. And, you know, the proper thing is to refer them to the correct specialist. And that's like the best way in that situation for me to be helpful, is to steer them in the direction of the proper specialist. But that takes time, that takes money, it takes their insurance copay and all these kinds of things, to where it would be nice to be able to know everything and fix everything, but it's next to impossible these days.
Yeah. You have to stay within your boundaries.
Right. Yeah. Scope of practice.
Scope of practice. That's nice. Technical terms.
Yeah. Proper terms. I have to speak in proper terms sometimes, especially at work. It's going to be hard. I have to go back to work tomorrow, and I've been speaking in like snowboard terms for the last week. Like, send it, brah. Like, I can't say that at work anymore.
I think a patient would find that very amusing if you did say that, though.
Just send it.
Yeah. I completely expect to get made fun of by my goggle stand when I go in tomorrow, if you can kind of see that. This is the only area that was like not exposed to the sun. It looks terrible, but it's fine.
It looks like you had fun.
Oh, I got it. I had a great time. Great snow, great people. And like I said, I lived in Reno for a couple of years, so I got to meet up with some old friends. It was such a wonderful time. I'm so lucky.
So you were out at Palisades at Tahoe?
So let's see. I went 5 days to 4 different resorts. So I went to Mount Rose, then I went to Palisades, then to Heavenly, and then to North Star for 2 days.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, I kind of had a little tour.
That's lovely.
Yeah, it was a great time.
So, quick cognitive reset. Do you want to tell me about donkey basketball out in Fallon, Nevada, man?
Yeah, donkey basketball. luckily I have footage of this because I think back like, was that real or was that a dream?
Was that a fever dream?
Yeah, it like doesn't even make any sense. Like, who thought of this? But I get the Snapchat memory every year. And like, that was really a thing. So they have the town was so small. I think they had one high school, and that's how they brought their community together. Was through like high school sports. So donkey basketball, it's 5-on-5 basketball, but there's two people, one from each team, in the center circle on foot, and then there are four people on each team, each riding a donkey. And then if you're riding the donkey, and then the refs have these little sticks that make the donkeys go when they're too stubborn to move from their rider. And then they have a bunch of kids lining up around the court as pooper scoopers. And so it's like typical basketball. I mean, they don't have to dribble because they're riding a donkey, but they're passing, and then every time they fumble a ball, they jump off their donkey and they try to pull the donkey to get to the ball, and the donkey never goes with them, and it's hilarious, and everyone's laughing the entire time. And then when there's a turnover or there's a score, they outlet to the person in the middle, and then they just kind of use that for like the flow of the game. And man, it was something, man. It's hard to really picture, but something I'll never forget for sure.
I'm hoping that we can maybe find a video of this on YouTube or something and just share it with the world.
I mean, I would send you the video that I have, but we'd have to edit out the noise because I'm probably like giggling like a schoolgirl. Be like, I can't believe this is happening. This is a real thing.
Dude, send it.
Yeah, 100%. I really want to see this.
I'm very grateful that I also fell into like the 4-H ranching community. All those people were salt of the earth, just great people, man.
Yeah, they really looked out for each other. I thought that was cool. That's that small town vibe that it's hard to find in big cities. I mean, like I said, I grew up in Virginia Beach, so it doesn't really seem that big to me. But from somebody that maybe grew up in Fallon that moved out here, Jesus, this place must be massive. You can go weeks without running into somebody that you know. But then in Fallon, if you go to Walmart, you're gonna run into like 10 people that you know because there's only one Walmart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I dealt with that anytime I went to lunch somewhere. You're gonna run into like at least 5 ex-patients or something like that. And it's cool, man. Small communities. It's I truly believe that any new grad from a PT school can absolutely benefit from a year or two in like a small community like that. And you can really see the difference that you make. You got like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, they own a ranch, they got to buck this hay, and they got to provide for this family that has to do this. And then you can really see the community kind of thrive based on what you're doing.
Yeah, I was even thinking that too while you were talking about it, because there's a lot of beauty in working in a small town like that.
Yeah.
The sense of community, and then you nailed it, right? Like you get to see the fruits of your effort. Like you're helping these people and trying to get them back to, be able to function like a normal person.
Right. Yeah.
You get to actually see them, like they probably hobble, barely able to walk very well. They go into your office, they leave. They're probably in a lot of pain because physical therapy is exhausting. And then
right.
you see them at Walmart like a week later and they're walking around way better than they were before. And you're like, hey, I did that.
Yeah. Well, they did that. I helped them do that. Yeah.
Yeah, you guided them there.
I was like Sherpa. And not that we don't help out in bigger communities. It's just easier to see in a smaller community. It's
Right.
it's more of a what's that called for us millennials and even the Gen Zers, that it's the more instant gratification thing.
Yeah, I find that typically helps motivate people a lot more when it comes to like wanting to do their job, is like when they actually get to see the results of what they're doing.
That's right. Yeah.
And, that's the best part about having any kind of job that involves helping or serving others.
That's right. Yeah. It's easier to sleep at night knowing that your efforts are to really make a difference, like a positive difference.
Definitely.
I do have a question purely from my curiosity.
Yes, sir.
Have you seen a huge disparity in types of injury going from a farming community to a metropolis?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So back in Fallon, there was a lot of backs and shoulders, muscle strains from working, ranchers, farmers, laborers, all that kind of stuff. Even people that we saw from the base that they were having neck pains, back pains, all the pilots pulling on the G forces and stuff like that. Like these guys are beat up, that kind of stuff. And then here in the 757 area, everything is so kind of spread out. You have to drive everywhere. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of car accidents, unfortunately, here.
Mm.
But I also think that's also part to the East Coast hustle. Everyone's trying to get to the next job, trying to make the next buck, and it's moves a little faster out here. And then people are a little more impatient to get better. Where like I need to get back to work, that kind of stuff. Where somebody may be in Fallon to where, they need to get back to work, obviously, but they need to get back to work and stay at work. They need to buck this hay, and they need to be able to do this for years on end. So they need to do it right. You can't just rush back. But yeah, that's the biggest thing that I would notice out here. Much more car accidents. Over there, much more like labor, physical kind of injuries.
Do you have sweeping general advice? I know you're seeing two huge disparities, but is there like a general thing we could be doing? One thing I've been wondering is I look at all my friends and my family and I think like, when's the last time you reached all the way over your head? When's the last time you were as tall as you could be?
Right. Yeah. So the one thing that I try to tell most patients is whatever you do throughout most of your day, maybe spend an hour doing the exact opposite. Let's say if somebody has an office job, they're sitting down, they're at the computer, they're not really moving a whole lot. What's the opposite of sitting down? Standing up or squatting, really going from a seated to a standing position, squatting. Or you could look at it as you are sitting still, just move around for an hour, go for a walk. Because even like, let's say if I had like a construction worker who's doing a lot of lifting, doing a lot of movement, doing a lot of heavy things throughout their day. But when's the last time they stretched anything? Probably not super often because they're exhausted at the end of the day. And I understand that. But your day to day, unless it has complete variety, like if you're like a yoga instructor or something like that, and you have like complete variety in your life, your day to day will likely eventually break you down. And you need to find that balance in life and do the opposite of what you usually do and throw in that variety. But yeah, reaching up towards the ceiling, it is a very functional movement. You see like in older folks' homes, you see the cobwebs really building up in the corners of the houses, and sometimes they're like, "Oh, I can't reach it, can't do anything about it." So it's just going to be there. But as far as professions, yeah, the only people that really bring their arms above their head like that are like electricians or like mechanics when the car is lifted, something like that. Or if you do something recreationally, like I still play sports, I still play volleyball, so we're still moving our bodies in a bunch of different directions, and or rock climbing. Rock climbing, you have to put your body into crazy positions. It's all about variety, honestly. That's the biggest thing. You just don't want to get stuck into any hard routines.
Mix it up.
Makes sense. I kind of have a follow-on question for you.
Okay.
So I'm very much in the same profession that Aaron was in at the time, right? Wearing the gear and everything.
Okay.
And a lot of our listeners, a lot of my friends who do listen to the podcast, they also are in the same field. And a lot of the times they have to wear like the heavy Kevlar helmets and plates in their vests and things of that nature. Is there any kind of advice that you could offer for some of them that might help them like release some of that tightness that they feel in their backs, lower back, hips at the end of the day? Like, is it just stretching, or is there some other things that they might be able to do, something physically?
Unfortunately, I have to come back to that answer as it depends.
Hmm.
So even if people are doing the same job, same occupation, everybody has different body types, everybody has different postures. So I would absolutely encourage those people just to, go to their local physical therapist, see what they say. Because a lot of times it's really just like a consultation. They see how you stand, see how you sit, see how you move, see how you bend, all these kinds of things. And they'll talk to you about what kind of deficits they see and relate it back to what your day to day is and, how they relate. And then, yeah, a lot of times if you're not having any pain, if you're not having any functional difficulties, they might just give you it's like some advice based on what they see. But yeah, it kind of comes down to it depends again for that, unfortunately.
Which is very fair. I think My seating posture is, I don't know if I'd consider it good or bad, but I always sit crisscross applesauce. Like even right now in my chair, I got my legs crossed.
Yeah.
It's just comfortable to me.
Yeah, it's not a terrible thing. There's definitely worse postures for you to be sitting in. And that's also a thing. Relativity,
Right.
where if it doesn't bother you and it doesn't cause any lasting deficits, yeah, sure, why not? When it comes to sitting postures, I think about symmetry. So like if you cross your legs, think about crossing your legs the other way for a certain amount of time also, something like that. But yeah, the biggest thing is when it comes to sitting postures is to not hang on your ligaments. So when you get tired, your eyes get tired, your head starts to droop forward, and then your back starts to round out, and then you have to pick your head up again so you can see the screen and all these kinds of things. I a very, very super general piece of advice I tell most people when it comes to sitting or standing postures is to be tall. Like I'm a volleyball player, so I have a bunch of super tall friends. I'm 5'9". I'm not very tall, but I have like friends that are like 6'11". And when we go out to a bar somewhere, I look terrible standing next to them. So I try to like, stand as tall as I possibly can, really tall and straight. And you're like, yeah, I play with them. Like, okay, you're like their little brother or something, right? But no,
You're 5'9", but next to them, you're 6 foot.
they're just so massive people. And thankfully they don't stand up all the way straight because they don't want to be superimposing because they're such gentle giant people. But yeah, I usually tell most people the general posture advice is just to be tall. Don't think about bringing your chin in, shoulders back, chest up, all these kinds of things. That's just too much to think about in your normal day-to-day life. We all have other things to think about. Just be tall. Try to touch the ceiling with the top of your head. Things usually fall into place.
So I'm going to interject really quick right here, and this is kind of going out to all of our listeners. If you're finding yourself listening to our podcast while you're sitting down in your office at work, or if you're driving to work or something of that nature, try adjusting your sitting posture just a little bit, and then see if that helps you out a bit, especially my friends out here doing the same job as me. Give it a try.
There you go. Yeah. Thankfully, you guys' episodes come out like Friday midday, and I usually walk to work on Friday, so it's just like the perfect walk home to listen to you guys on the walk home. It's great.
Thank you.
Well, hell yeah, I really appreciate that.
So balance is key.
Yeah,
Do the opposite of what you do every day.
exactly. Balance in the universe, not like Thanos.
Yeah, Thanos wanted to wipe out half the population.
That's a different kind of balance for sure.
Yeah, it's a little away from where we're wanting to bring it.
Yeah, but a little bit different. Yeah.
So has a life of helping others, has that been fulfilling to you, or does it still inspire you, or has it become draining and real work?
I think it has inspired me more to where I'm constantly trying to learn and take other people's experiences and see how they can help other people's experiences. Remember how I was talking about perspectives, or I get, 16 perspectives a day. And then I want to see, and then I can relate that to somebody, a few months from now. Like I could tell them, like, oh, I had this patient that was dealing with a similar thing and we tried this, and this, and it helped them. Maybe we could try those and see if that helps you too. Unfortunately, not everything works for everybody. And the way that I think about it is every patient that I have is another data point to my internal algorithm on what I can do to help somebody else. It's very difficult, especially with how vast the internet is, to just do your own research and see what kind of thing can help what you're feeling. It's just so much easier to have a conversation with somebody that has had all these perspectives presented to them so that they can present them to you. That's a responsibility that I've taken upon myself, and I'm happy to do it. That's something that I appreciate the opportunity, because I didn't get into PT to be rich. If anybody did get into PT to be rich, they probably didn't know what our starting salary is. But this community of providers, these practitioners, we're here to help. We're not here to put anybody down. We're not here to disappoint anybody. We're here to get you moving again. I think that was like the motto for physical therapy when I was going to school. Well, I have a sticker here on my bottle. It's improve the way you move was the motto back in the day.
Very lovely. Improve the way you move. It's going to be the name of the episode. I guess I'm kind of curious a little bit more back into your childhood here. So you mentioned that you played a lot of sports. What kind of sports did you play? I see the soccer balls, so I have to assume soccer, but...
These are actually volleyballs up here.
Oh, my bad. Aaron, cut that out.
That's okay. So you can't see it down in this area of the bookshelf. I have there's a soccer ball down there, there's a football, there's a basketball, and then all my volleyballs up here. I was very much into like ball and net sports growing up. Like it went from like soccer to basketball to volleyball to football, back to volleyball. Well, indoor volleyball, indoor hardcourt volleyball to sand beach volleyball. And then came snowboarding and rock climbing and all these kinds of things. I like to move around a little bit. Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Variety. It's always fun. Keep things fresh.
And each of those challenges you in a totally different way and forces you to grow in a totally different way.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's I believe in sports. I understand that sports aren't for everybody, but I can't imagine who I'd be without sports, without the people that I've met through sports. Some of my closest friends now are people that I've met through volleyball. The volleyball community is incredible. One of my volleyball friends in particular, he's into a bigger variety of things than I am, and he's like introduced me to so many different things. Like I just recently joined a bowling league for the first time, and I was like, dang, this is really fun. Yeah, once you get your own shoes and your own ball, and you actually like have control of your equipment, it's a completely different experience. Like throwing a house ball that barely fits your hand, it doesn't, not even the same thing. It's kind of wild.
Shout out B Will. We have a buddy who started a bowling company. What are you driving towards now? Did you ever manage to sleep flat on the tables at Fallon?
Absolutely. Yeah, actually, yeah.
Because I know when I was speaking to you, you were tired of the drive and you said, one day.
Yeah. Yeah, there were a couple of times where I would take a nap for lunch because everybody in a small town, the clinic will close down for lunch. And yeah, every once in a while, I took a nap there during lunch. I pulled back the curtains and I took a nap. It was great. But yeah, it was. I don't know if it's something that I inherited from my mother's side of the family. I can sleep pretty much anywhere. I remember my mom's brothers, my uncles, they would fall asleep within seconds of them talking to you. They would just be having conversation. And the next thing you see is their chin is on their chest and they're sleeping. What just happened? So I don't know if hypersomnia runs in our family, but it's definitely not a difficulty to fall asleep anywhere. I probably fell asleep through 80% of my time in the air flying to and from Tahoe this trip. Most of the time in the middle seat. You do what you got to do.
Bro, heard. We just flew to and from Japan.
Oh, gosh.
Those are some tight seats, my brother. Those were some tight seats.
Yeah, I got to build up my credit card points to see if I can get like business select or something for that one. That one's going to be a tough flight.
I think that would be worth it. I think that'd be worth the points.
Yeah.
Damn straight.
So with all this perspective,
Yeah.
what has that really taught you over the years? Being able to see what everyone's going through.
With all of the perspectives, it's really helped me gain like an appreciation for all things, really. Obviously, you appreciate the good times, but you got to appreciate the bad times also because that helps you appreciate the good times better. I told you about my one academic advisor in college that said that I'd never get into school. I remember, resenting him at the time, and it really motivated me to like, oh, okay, man, I'll show you, old man, that kind of thing. And I eventually did, and then I thought about it, and like, that guy's really smart. I'm sure he did that on purpose. Like, I know that he did that to motivate me, and he saw that I was the type of person that gets motivated off of proving somebody wrong, and he probably knew that. I absolutely appreciated his drive. I probably didn't appreciate it then, but I appreciate it now because I have a different perspective. I appreciated my times in San Diego and in Fallon and my times that brought me back here, back home to Virginia Beach. Tough times for sure, but it definitely could always be worse. And that's kind of the whole perspective thing that I found. I absolutely don't have grounds to complain about very many things. I've been very fortunate in my life, and I've come to the point to where I want to honor that fortune by helping others where I can. I've been so fortunate to meet some incredible people in my life, and they've been so helpful. Like when I got to San Diego, I met some cool people. We lived in a house together. They dealt with my grumpiness when I never slept and I was studying all the time. When I moved to Fallon, I did the sketchiest thing when I moved to Fallon. I took an Uber, or no, this was in Reno. So my boss in Fallon flew me out to Reno to have a meeting before I got the job. I took an Uber to go to dinner one night, and I was asking the Uber driver, just striking up a conversation, like, "Oh, do you live here? Like, what do you think? Is it worth moving here? Where's the place to look for an apartment?" And the Uber driver was like, "Well, my roommate just moved out." And I was like, is this guy trying to murder me?" And then I was like, "I don't know. He seemed like a nice guy." So after he dropped me off to dinner, he gave me his number. I texted him, and then he picked me up and he showed me his apartment. It's like, "Hey, this is a nice spot." And then we lived together for like a year and a half. And I was like, "This is cool." And then so that's just like an incredibly fortunate thing. Applying to one school, one PD school, getting into that, finding an incredible apartment just from an Uber driver, meeting some really cool people in a very small town, people I worked with, the patients I met, coming back to Virginia Beach. We have a little group called the Nerd Squad, an incredible group of people that will do anything for you. They'll give you the shirt off their back, sorry. And
They'll take the shirt off your back.
Give me
they'll,
that.
they'll take this shirt off your back and then give you a nicer one. Yeah, one of my friends, like when everything went down with my mom, one of my friends and her husband and her dad, they just showed up at my parents' house and just built a wheelchair ramp without even asking. They showed up with tools and materials because they knew that I had moved back to help, like, essentially lift her into the house, like just pick her up and walk up the stairs. And they showed up without even me asking, and just built this thing like professionally. It was pretty incredible, actually. I'm not an incredibly handy person, so I was all super impressed. But yeah, it all really comes down to appreciation. I have been so fortunate in my life to where I want to pay it forward. There's no possible way for me to pay back the people that have helped me in my life. So my mission in life is to pay it forward, and hopefully they can give that experience to somebody else.
I'm sorry, I have two really important points here.
Okay.
One thing that we've really talked about a lot is when you find yourself walking the right path, the things that happen to you seem like it's all luck. But I would argue that it's just the right path for you. Like getting accepted to the one PT school after only applying to one, finding literally a super nice apartment the moment you're in Reno. Like you're literally you're just walking the right path. The universe is like, here, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. We're going to put you in the places where you need to be. And on top of that too, like the community you've built around yourself, having a great community is probably one of the most key things that anybody can have in their life.
I agree.
Surround themselves with people who are going to help them build a wheelchair ramp without even asking. That's incredible. That's true love right there. And I guarantee you, if you talk to those people, they would never, ever say that you would need to pay them back anything.
No.
I mean, they did it out of pure love. And I love that you're taking that love that they showed you and you're paying it forward. Honestly, man, you're Doc, you're doing some wonderful stuff out there in life.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think about this because I'm not a person that really shows affection very well. I kind of blame that on my Filipino and American upbringing or Filipino upbringing. I think I've like hugged my dad like twice in my life. But we know that we all love each other and we'll do anything for each other. And I am trying to better myself and look for ways to show my appreciation to the people that has had a significant impact on my life. So I wanted to take this opportunity to thank everybody in my life because I'm pretty proud of who I am and who I became. And I credit that to the people that I've met that have really shaped me. I just wanted to thank them as much as possible. And I wanted to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to do that. When I saw that Aaron had a podcast and I was like, oh, this sounds cool. I'll give it a listen. And then after listening to a couple episodes, it was incredible. Like I'm extremely proud of you guys that you guys are doing this and you took on this adventure and are sharing everyone's stories. And yeah, I'm proud of you guys.
Thank you.
Damn, that really means a lot to me. Seriously.
We are also insanely proud of you for what it's worth. The thing that stood out to me, gratitude will change your life, for one. So I am so glad that you came on today to talk about how appreciative you are and how we've talked about how the acorn contributes very little to the oak. It's mostly the soil and the sun and the rain.
That's right.
So being grateful for that, we can't just be grateful for the sunshine. We got to be grateful for the rain.
That's right.
I was rehearsing earlier because my day has been a little stressful. I'm sure yours has as well, and yours, and everyone who's listening. Today's hard.
Today is hard.
Every day, and I'm starting to learn to be grateful, and that I'm having the day I need to have today.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that I have these, what I would qualify as unpleasant emotions coming up again and again, each time they pop up, that's my chance to grow with it. That's my chance to convert it into something else, into something positive. So I think I'm going to take this message pretty far with me.
Mhm.
In a lot of the thank you letters we've been writing lately, we've been thanking everyone for the gift of the episode they gave us. And I'm going to mean that so hard when I write your letter, because think about how eye-opening this episode is, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I was a little nervous about doing this with you guys. After listening to a lot of your other episodes, like, you guys have had such like incredible guests with interesting stories, challenging times, inspirations, and I've accepted that I'm a bit of an emotional person. A couple of your episodes made me cry a little bit. It was a little odd to be walking home in the afternoon. It was like openly crying, like outside walking. But yeah, and then when you guys asked if I would do an episode, it's like, I don't know, man. What am I going to say compared to these guys? There's just you guys have had such impressive guests. I guess my imposter syndrome kind of like kicked in, but I wanted to take the opportunity because I don't really have like a social media presence to where like I post a lot of things, but I wanted to take the opportunity to thank the people in my life and for them to know that they've had such an impact on me. And I try to put that positivity back into the universe since I don't do the best at probably just reflecting that positivity back towards them. But yeah, I just really wanted to show appreciation for my life, really.
Well, excellent work. Really excellent work, Dr. Matteo.
Thanks. Yeah. And I'm honored to even be invited to do an episode. I've listened to I think almost every episode. I think I'm an episode behind. And I've learned a lot from you guys. I've learned if there is a shiny bald rollerblader on the road to maybe, give them a little space. I've learned about the platinum rule. I had never heard of that before. I thought that was really cool. And I started enacting that in my day to day. I think that's pretty awesome. I was just truly honored to be even invited to do an episode with you guys. I think what you guys are doing is awesome, and I wanted to be a part of it. And I wanted to honor the invitation for sure.
Well, I'm really glad you joined us. And I want to point something out real quick, too. The other day, I was having a conversation with one of my friends, and they said something along the lines of they were referring to somebody else, and they said, this person is always trying to take the light out of people.
Mm.
And it clicked with me because I realized it reaffirmed why No Streetlights is here, because there are just as many people out there trying to take the light out of people as there are trying to shine a light. And I love that you mentioned that you felt like you didn't have anything to talk about, but just giving you the opportunity to shine your light, I think that in and of itself is a positive force into the universe. And your story there is a lot to tell there. There is a lot from you talking about what you've learned, what you've been through, how it changed you, and what you've learned. And I think that's what No Streetlights is. And I'm so happy that we have that opportunity and that we had the opportunity to talk to you and let you shine your light for a little bit.
Yeah, I can't thank you guys enough for giving me this opportunity.
It's not us. As we've said several times, we're here to just reflect. Tim and I have been working very hard at listening, and that has been so rewarding. Hearing your story and taking it on board, I think is going to help a lot of people, because they say laughter is the best medicine, but I think gratitude might be aiming for that number one spot. I think that might be the best medicine.
Yeah, we can all stand to appreciate a little more, I think. And it's really all about perspective at that point. Appreciating it doesn't really take something physical. It's really a mindset, a perspective to appreciate.
Hell yeah. Well, before we run our closer here, Dr. Matteo, is there anything else that you would like to share with us?
Um, no, the last thing is, like I said, I was honored to do this episode with you guys, and I'm happy to be a part of it. And I'm so proud of you guys for doing this and taking on this challenge and adventure. And I hope you guys go a long way. I'll be listening. Maybe on my walk home, I'll see a very shiny rollerblader to kind of roll with me and watch me cry while I listen to you guys' episodes. But yeah, keep it going. You guys are doing great. I have high hopes for you guys, and I'm really excited about the future there.
Thank you. We're also very excited to see your growth because I know you're joining a spot back home, like in the community you're from.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So I just got a new gig at a new clinic in the neighborhood that I grew up in, like maybe a mile from my parents' house. So it's gonna be a new challenge, but for sure a new adventure and an opportunity for me to really make a difference in the community that brought me up, and very excited about that.
You're going to knock it out of the park. I can already tell you.
I hope so.
Definitely.
So, Dr. Matteo, thank you for shining with us, brother.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thank you for having me.
And a huge thank you to all of you for listening.
This has been Aaron.
And Tim with
Matteo.
Massive shout out to Highland Markle for the original music.
Share this episode with somebody who could benefit from it.
Let us know what you want to hear our take on.
Or message us to collab.
All pertinent links can be found in the episode description.
Be good to yourselves and each other.
We love you. Legal disclaimer. Our podcast is for entertainment purposes and cannot be substituted for professional medical advice.
If you need help now, please call 911 or 988 for immediate intervention.
Bye.